Danger is coming.
Nothing can move like that. It's impossible.
Bob Lazar's disclosures about aliens and UFOs have sparked widespread concern and fascination about our understanding of the unknown.
It flies along and it puts its belly to the target. All the amplifiers to power and, it shoots off in that direction.
Believe it or not, the implications of his revelations extend far beyond mere speculation and have made scientists spend sleepless nights trying to figure out our place in the universe and how we can remain safe. Are aliens real? What is the government's involvement with these terrestrial beings?
This week, we've heard the contention of UFO researchers that there's a secret government within our government.
Join us as we go deeper into the bizarre UFO revelations brought to light by Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar breaks silence on UFO sightings. Bob Lazar, a scientist who has been under some heat lately, came out to reveal that the U.S. government possesses the remains of crafts and vehicles of extraterrestrial origin.
Some of them are 100% intact and operate perfectly. The other ones are being taken apart. I was involved mainly in propulsion and the power source. A gravity propulsion system, the power source is an antimatter reactor. This technology does not exist at all. In fact, one of the reasons that I'm going forward with this information, it's not only a crime against the American people, it's a crime against the scientific community.
And extraordinary technological breakthroughs have come from these vehicles. The scientist claimed to be a government physicist and that he worked in the S4 section of the formerly secret military base, Area 51, a corner of the Nevada test site. He claimed that it was there that he read documents indicating the existence of ongoing research on an anti-gravity reactor for use in propulsion systems. He said in an interview that, more than being astonished, he was shocked to be shown 9 flying saucers of extraterrestrial origins stored in a hangar.
When I was let in, it was the first time I saw the sport model in the hangar sitting down, and I was told they could have walked me in the front door, but they purposely wanted to walk me by it. I was told not to say anything and just keep my eyes forward and walk past the disc into the office area.
Furthermore, he explained that as part of the gravity harnessing propulsion, the craft used an element 115, which is unknown on Earth because it is impossible to synthesize an element that heavy here on Earth. Thus, the substance has to come from a place where super heavy elements could have been produced naturally. From the recovered craft, the U.S. government collected 500 pounds of the stuff. Adding apparent credibility to Lazar's testimony were persistent reports, found even in the much-respected Aviation Week in space technology, of bizarre lights over the test site. The craft maneuvering in ways beyond the known capacity of aviation technology on Earth. These reports are almost certainly genuine. Motherboard, Vice's tech channel, published a long write-up about Lazar in 2019. It contained details of how the FBI and Michigan State Police had raided Lazar's company, Scientific Supply, back in 2017, looking for thallium sulfate, which can be used as a poison. However, this report did not go down well with true believers and UFO enthusiasts, who held the opinion that he was raided because they were looking for element 115.
There was an FBI raid at my place
A
of
raid?
business. Yeah.
Looking for what?
Well, they said they were looking for some receipts from an individual that might have bought some toxic material from a company. But they came with more people than you could really think would even fit in our building.
Tim McMillan, a reporter, didn't wait for public opinion. He directly asked Lazar whether he had a piece of element 115. Lazar replied that if he had some, he would not reveal it to confirm his accounts. Questions have been raised about the supposed secret military base as to whether it exists or not and what it is used for. The horrifying truth about Area 51. There's a dusty, unmarked road that leads to the front gate of Area 51, right in the middle of the barren desert in Nevada. This place is protected by more than a chain-link fence. It has a boom gate and trespassing signs that would intimidate you at first sight. Now, one would think that America's much mythicized top-secret military base would be under closer guard. But if you thought the place was unguarded, you're grossly mistaken. They are watching from all angles. There are cameras that see every single point beyond the gate. There's a hilltop in the distance where a white pickup truck with a tinted windshield stands and looks down on everything below. To emphasize that security is right, locals say the base knows every desert tortoise and jackrabbit that hops the fence. Others claim there are embedded sensors on the approaching road. The age-long question of what exactly goes on inside Area 51 has led to wild speculations over the decades. At the top of these speculations are alien conspiracy theories that say extraterrestrial visitors are hidden inside the base. One of the more colorful and lasting rumors is the one that insists the infamous 1947 Roswell crash was a Soviet aircraft piloted by mutated little green people, and the wreckage remains on the grounds of Area 51. Some people even speculate that the US government filmed the 1969 moon landing in one of the hangars at the base. For all the myths and legends surrounding the mysterious place, the truth is that Area 51 is very real. And not just that, it is still very active. While there may not be aliens or a moon landing movie set beyond those fences, something is happening, and only a few people know what exactly happens further down the closely monitored, windswept Nevada road. The mere fact that the base is a forbidden area complicates things even further. And as explained by Peter Merlin, this forbidden aspect fuels the flames in people and makes people want to know what's there.
The secrecy surrounding Area 51 has sort of turned it into a convenient blackboard upon which to draw any sort of conspiracy. Because the government has sort of hidden it behind this wall of secrecy, everybody seems to want to put their own mythology on top of it.
Peter Merlin has been researching Area 51 for more than 3 decades. When U-2 testing began in 1955, reports of sightings of unidentified flying objects immediately came flooding in. It's easy to see why. Many of these sightings were observed by commercial airline pilots who had never seen an aircraft fly at such high altitudes as the U-2 did. While today's airliners can soar as high as 45,000 feet, in the mid-1950s, airlines flew at altitudes between 10,000 and 20,000 feet, no higher. Known military aircraft could reach 40,000 feet. Some believed manned flight couldn't go any higher. So it wasn't surprising that the U-2, flying at altitudes over 60,000 feet, looked completely alien to people. Naturally, the Air Force officials were aware that the majority of these unexplained sightings were U-2 tests. But what complicated matters was that they were not allowed to reveal these details to the public. Interestingly, the most recent 2013 CIA report confirms Area 51's existence. At least now, we're sure it exists. While the 1998 version does have significant redactions when referencing the name and location of the U-2 test site, the nearly unredacted version from 2013 reveals much more, including multiple references to Area 51, Groom Lake. There's even a map of the area. But even with all these explanations, the alien conspiracies gained more ground in 1989 when Bob Lazar claimed in an interview on Las Vegas local news that he'd seen aliens. Not only did he see the aliens, he had helped to reverse engineer alien spacecraft while working at the base. Unsurprisingly, many people, especially skeptics of UFOs, have disregarded this as fiction and, to some extent, are even offended at the notion. One such skeptic, Peter Merlin, has spent years talking with former Area 51 engineers and employees angered by all the fuss about it. The claim of this scientist itself may not be enough to draw so much attention, but as a result of some factors, the claims became a full-blown headline. How did Lazar's narrative become so popular? In a world where the internet reigns and where information spreads rapidly, stories can be formed with each tweet, blog post, television presentation, or any other social media post. The media played a major role in bringing Bob Lazar's claims to global attention. Although his narratives were captivating and thought-provoking on their own, the media's activities amplified them and moved them from mere rumors to mainstream disclosure, bringing them all to new heights.
He said it's a secret that needed to be told to the world, that his life was in danger, and that he was coming forward and wanted to tell.
Investigative journalist George Knapp, a respectable figure in journalism, was instrumental in Lazar's exposure to the public. Ever since Lazar first came forward with a story about the time spent at S4 working on extraterrestrial spacecraft in 1989, he has grown reluctant to speak about what he claimed to have seen at Area 51. The film, made by Corbell, is the first major interview that Lazar has given about his beliefs regarding extraterrestrial technology on Earth in nearly 30 years. In May of 1989, there was an interview with a person who chose to be anonymous, bearing the name Dennis, with Las Vegas-based reporter George Knapp. In the interview, which is also included in Corbell's film, together with a lot of other archival footage from Lazar's time in the international spotlight, Lazar describes how he had worked on the propulsion systems for 9 flying saucers of extraterrestrial origin. These were in the possession of the U.S. military. Lazar claimed at that time that he came forward with information about extraterrestrial technology in the government's possession simply because he believed it was a crime against the American people and scientific community to keep such information a secret. Shortly after his first interview, Lazar grew bolder and gave up his anonymity. He came out in his own name and did several other interviews about his time at Area 51, but this time under his name. These were broadcast around the globe, and in no time at all, the top secret military base was turned into a pilgrimage destination for UFO believers. As Knapp says in the film, Lazar had put Area 51 on the map, but while doing that, he also put himself out in public. When Corbell met with Lazar in California, he made it clear that he had no ulterior motives and no reason to lie about what he was working on in the mid-80s. If anything, Lazar said, his decision to come forward with this information had changed his life for the worse, both financially and professionally. The narratives may have gone viral both online and offline, but they are not without criticism. The controversy surrounding Bob Lazar's claims. Lazar claims that he obtained a master's degree in physics from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and another degree in electronics from the California Institute of Technology, Caltech. However, both universities denied having any record of him. In other words, he was never their student. 2 scientists, Stanton T. Friedman and Donald R. Prothero, have stated that either of the 2 institutions would accept anyone with Lazar's high school performance record. When he was questioned, Lazar could not supply the names of his lecturers or fellow students from his time spent at MIT or Caltech. One supposed Caltech professor, William Duxler, who was supposed to have taught him, was at Pierce Junior College and had never taught at Caltech. Friedman asserted that it was quite obvious that if one can go to MIT, one doesn't go to Pierce. Lazar was at Pierce at the same time he was supposedly at MIT, and the 2 institutions have more than 2,500 miles between them. Lazar also claims to be a physicist in that he worked as such during his tenure at the Los Alamos Mason physics facility. A local journalist who interviewed Lazar about his interest in jet-powered cars in 1982 echoed this assertion. Some media outlets have since given him the name physicist. The inquiry was made into Lazar's position at the facility. However, it was revealed that his role was as a technician for a contractor firm and that he worked neither as a physicist nor for Los Alamos. The laboratory has no records on Lazar, whom Prothero states were. The Smithsonian and various mainstream news outlets have stated that his physicist designation is, in fact, self-proclaimed. Since 1989, Lazar has achieved public popularity as an Area 51 conspiracy theorist. In May of that year, he appeared in an interview with investigative reporter George Knapp on Las Vegas TV station KLAS under the pseudonym Dennis, and with his face hidden to discuss his purported employment at S4, a subsidiary facility he claimed exists near the Nellis Air Force Base installation, known as Area 51. He claims that the facility known as S4 was adjacent to Papoose Lake, which is located south of the main Area 51 facility at Groom Lake. He claimed the site consisted of concealed aircraft hangars built into a mountainside. Lazar said that his job was to help with the reverse engineering of one of 9 flying saucers, which in his claims were extraterrestrial in origin. He claims one of the flying saucers, the one he coined the sport model, was manufactured out of a metallic substance similar in appearance and touch to liquid titanium. In a subsequent interview later that November, he appeared unmasked and under his own name. He claimed that his job interview for work at the facility was with contractor EG&G and that his employer was the United States Navy. Again, EG&G denied having any records on him. Skeptics have also discredited his supposed employment at Nellis Air Force and the United States Air Force. Lazar has claimed that the propulsion of the vehicle that was studied ran on an antimatter reactor and was fueled by the chemical element with atomic number 115, known as element 115, which at the time was provisionally named a nunpentium and had not yet been artificially created. It was first synthesized in 2003 and later named moscovium. He said the propulsion system relied on a stable isotope of E115, which allegedly generated a gravity wave that allowed the vehicle to fly and evade visual detection by bending light around it. No stable isotopes of moscovium have yet been synthesized. All have proven extremely radioactive, decaying in a few hundred milliseconds. Lazar said the craft was dismantled, and the reactor he studied was topped by a sphere or semisphere that emitted a force field capable of repulsing human flesh. He explained that the craft was split into two main levels. The reactor was positioned at the center of the upper level, with an antenna extending to the top, surrounded by 3 gravity amplifiers. These are connected to gravity emitters on the lower level, which can rotate 180 degrees to output a gravity beam or anti-gravity wave. The craft would then travel belly first into this distortion field. Lazar also claimed that during his joining the program, he read briefing documents describing Earth's historical involvement for the past 10,000 years, with extraterrestrial beings described as gray aliens from a planet orbiting the twin binary star system Zeta Reticuli. As of September 2019, no extrasolar planets have been found in the Zeta Reticuli system. Additionally, the Zeta Reticuli system is too young, with an average age of 1.5 to 3 billion years. It took 500 million years for the first cell to evolve on Earth, and 3 billion years for complex multicellular life to evolve after the Cambrian explosion. In 1989, Lazar said the seats of the saucer he saw were approximately child-sized, and that he had seen alien cadavers of a corresponding size. He said that while walking down a hallway at S4, he briefly glanced through a door window and saw what he interpreted as 2 men in lab coats facing down and talking to something small with long arms. 3 decades later, he said he did not think he saw an alien, but speculated that he saw a doll used as a reference for the size of the alleged aliens, and that a nickname used for them was the Kids.
I don't think there was an alien there posing for him. I think they just had a small character or something, doing measurements or something. Again, we're talking about like a 400 millisecond glance.
About his non-existent records, Lazar would have the public believe that his employment and education records have been erased. However, skeptics Donald R. Prothero, Stanton T. Friedman, and Timothy D. Callahan find this implausible. His story has drawn significant media attention, controversy, supporters, and detractors. Lazar has no evidence of alien life or technology. Lazar's workplace was raided in 2017 by both the FBI and the local police, and according to Lazar, the raid was to recover element 115, also known as moscovium, a substance he says he took from a government lab. Records obtained through a Freedom of Information request show the raid was part of a murder investigation to determine whether his company sold a substance called thallium to a murder suspect in Michigan. Although Lazar was not listed as a suspect in the investigation, the question at this point is whether the moscovium that the local police claim to be after is associated in any way with unidentified flying objects. How are element 115 and UFOs connected? Jacqueline Gates is a scientist with the Heavy Elements Group in the Nuclear Science Division at the Berkeley Lab in California. She has explained that element 115, which is also known as moscovium in Russia, is a man-made super-heavy element with 115 protons in its nucleus, hence the name. Just like other elements on the periodic table, the element's number corresponds to the number of protons in the nucleus of the element's atom. That is 23 more protons than uranium, the heaviest element found in large quantities on Earth. The scientist went on to say that element 115 is an extremely rare element that is made one atom at a time in particle accelerators. It exists for just a fraction of a second before it decays into another element. Even though the substance was only discovered in 2003, its name may sound very familiar, and this is because it has been associated with UFOs, aliens, and other related extraterrestrial phenomena for decades. Remember that Lazar claimed to be a former employee at Area 51, the famous and highly classified area of the Nevada Test and Training Range operated by the United States Air Force. His job had been to reverse engineer crashed alien flying saucers. He also said, without mincing words, that he'd personally worked with element 115, which was used to pilot alien spacecraft. Lazar said he had seen evidence of anti-gravity propulsion technologies, and 9 alien spacecraft were stored in a hangar at Area 51. Those spaceships ostensibly used a propulsion system that harnessed the inherent power of gravity and thus utilized the physical properties of element 115 to work their technological wonder. It is no news that the government doesn't confirm the employment of anyone who has worked at Area 51. The area is confidential for a reason. As some sources have pointed out, the gist of Lazar's claims has never been thoroughly disproved. Yet the very basic and fundamental science still contradicts his claims. According to Gates, there is no connection whatsoever between the discovery of element 115 and Bob Lazar's claims. All the created atoms of element 115 have decayed way too fast to be used to fuel UFOs. So instead of the excitement of seeing little green or blue men in incredible spacecraft, we're left with real, tangible science. For the people who are immersed in these advances daily, that's more than enough. After all, moscovium is an amazing element. According to Gates's explanation, it is a sign that we're pushing the boundaries of what we know about the universe. She further said that element 115 is special because it can be made easier than lighter elements like element 112 or element 113. Typically, as scientists add more protons, it becomes harder to make a new element. This trend is broken around element 115. Due to this, they have been able to make over 100 atoms of element 115 and begin to understand its nuclear and chemical properties. While the claims by the scientist may seem unbelievable, it is important to pay attention to them because another whistleblower has added credibility to the narrative. Mind-blowing revelations about the government's secret activities. David Grush came out, and not only did he give credibility to Bob Lazar's claims, he said we are not alone.
I was my agency's co-lead in unidentified anomalous phenomena and transmedium object analysis. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program.
American authorities are covering up the evidence that can prove this claim and put an end to the ongoing debate about the existence of aliens. David Grush is a former National Reconnaissance Officer for the Pentagon's task force who led the analysis of unidentified flying objects. He testified that he has reason to believe that the government has UFOs and the remains of their non-human operators. There were 3 witnesses who testified before a House subcommittee on National Security, Border, and Foreign Affairs hearing titled Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena: Implications on National Security, Public Safety, and Government Transparency. UFOs are now also known as UAPs. David Grush was one of the witnesses. Grush said he was asked in 2019 by the head of a government task force on UAPs to identify all highly classified programs relating to the task force's mission. He said his role in the government was to investigate what the military, defense, and other agencies knew about aliens and alien craft, but he was prevented from accessing secret government UAP programs. In 2022, Mr. Grush filed a whistleblower complaint and told the hearing that he had suffered retaliation for doing so. He said his allegations had hurt him professionally and personally. He confirmed to the committee that he knew other people who had been harmed or injured as a result of the government's efforts to conceal information about UFOs. When he was pressed for details during the hearing, Mr. Grush repeatedly said that he could not comment publicly about the information because it was classified. He refused to comment on whether the U.S. government had made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials or whether the Pentagon had obtained the bodies of crashed UFO pilots. But Mr. Grush did tell the congressional hearing that the U.S. possessed a very large spacecraft of unknown origin and that he had personally witnessed very disturbing activity forms of alien technology or beings on humans. He said the U.S. government is hiding information on UFOs not only from the public but also from Congress, and he personally interviewed people with direct knowledge of non-human craft. According to Grush, his testimony was based on information he'd been given by individuals with a long-standing track record of legitimacy and service to this country. Many of these individuals also shared compelling evidence in the form of photography, official documentation, and classified oral testimony. Grush wasn't alone in all this because a representative, Tim Burchett, supported the idea that the government was indeed concealing information. At the opening of the hearing, which also featured testimony from 2 former Navy officers who said they witnessed UFOs, Tim said they were going to uncover the cover-up. The whole thing is an issue of government transparency. And according to Tim, they can't trust a government that does not trust its people. Another thing that substantiated Mr. Grinch's claim was that he testified under oath. As he made the allegations of alien contact under oath, he risks facing 5 years in prison if he is found guilty of perjury. However, in a move that seemed to discredit the testimony, Sean Kirkpatrick, the head of the Pentagon office set up to identify UFOs that pose a potential threat, also told politicians that it had not identified signs of alien activity. He said the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office had found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. At this point, one can only ask, what do scientists say about the existence of unidentified flying objects? Are UFOs real? The debate about unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, has been going on among scientists for as long as possible. Some skeptics have simply dismissed UFO sightings as mere hoaxes. However, as it turns out, a growing number of scientists suggest evidence that sounds like UFO sightings may just be real, particularly in cases involving the Large Hadron Collider, which is the world's largest and fastest particle accelerator listed in Geneva, Switzerland. While some may attribute sightings to hallucinations and optical illusions, others have argued that there are genuine encounters that cannot be easily disregarded. As our understanding of advanced technology and the universe expands, it becomes necessary to explore these phenomena objectively. Aside from the testimonies of Bob Lazar, the self-acclaimed scientist, there are numerous reports and first-hand testimonies about UFO sightings near the Large Hadron Collider, which raises more questions regarding the nature and source of these unidentified objects. The LHC is the largest particle accelerator built by CERN. In addition to the role played by the LHC in expanding our knowledge about the universe, it has also sparked interest among UFO enthusiasts. They speculate that some experiments at the LHC may have attracted some strange extraterrestrial beings over the years. There are also pictorial pieces of evidence and testimonies about UFO sightings near the LHC. Skeptics often assert that UFOs can easily be dismissed as misidentified aircraft. But it is important to note that here the Large Hadron Collider is located in a relatively secluded area. This greatly reduces any chance of mistaking these unidentified aerial phenomena for ordinary aircraft. Dr. Castildo, a physicist at CERN, once reported witnessing a strange serial phenomenon above the LHC. He described seeing a UFO emitting a pulsating light as it hovered above the accelerator. According to him, the object moved in impossible ways for an aircraft to imitate. His account and many others suggest something intriguing may happen in the skies above the Large Hadron Collider. Scientific society is beginning to adopt a more open-minded way of approaching the subject of UFOs and has displayed interest in unraveling the mystery surrounding them. Do you think Bob Lazar's claims are credible? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. Thank you for watching.